2021. It's Monday the 30th, March, in our quarantine here. We're at RailRoast Coffee and we're going to roast up some Ethiopian, I can't even pronounce it, Locomotive, if I can say it properly. We have the roaster heating up. We're going to start with a charge temperature of 390. We're going to let the temperature drop down. We'll set our charge up. Just being this is the first roast of the day, we want to make sure that we have the temperature up in the roaster so we get an even, well-defined product at the end. So we'll put this video together and see how it all comes out when it's done. Follow along.
Ethiopian and Tanzanian coffee both originate in the continent of Africa. Ethiopian Locomotive is grown in the high country region, the western portion of Ethiopia.
Right now, we're setting our roaster up. I'm going to start at 390 degrees. The exhaust air temperature here really is irrelevant at this point. The most important thing we can do is get the drum completely warmed up so we get a consistent roast profile. A couple modifications we made. We added a much larger fuel tank, fuel source, so we can get consistency. And also, again, we have our artisan hooked up. And as time goes on, we're getting a little bit better with setting up our entry parameters for artisan and try to get some consistency in the product with what we created. I think we've done reasonably well thus far. It's been a learning experience for sure. New roaster, new equipment as we go forward. And my wife, who's handling the camera today, you can say hello, Fran.
Hi.
You know, we enjoy doing this together. Part of coffee is spirit and finding joy in these things in life that you really do enjoy. And coffee is something that I like. I think Fran actually likes the flavor of the scent of the beans in the house, but she's not really a coffee drinker, so as time goes on. Take a look in here. We have our charged beans. Again, our Ethiopian lemke, 2.5 pounds set in the hopper. And again, I want at this point the roaster to heat up, and I want the gas to cycle on and off a few times to make sure that we have an even temperature dispersal in the roaster before we set the charge in. Doing a little bit of research on our Ethiopian coffee. It has a winey character, a lot of vibrant flavor supposedly, and most experts believe that this is a coffee that should be roasted to a lighter or medium light side complexity to really bring out some of that really effervescence in the beans. So we're going to set up at that point. At this point we're up to 390 degrees. I'm going to let it coast down to 370, at which I'll drop it, and then I'm going to start our artisan software. Should pick up our charge as we get started. Up. Okay, we set our time on our machine. We have our software working at the same time as well, and it picked up right on at the dropping temperature of the beans in the roaster. The software is actually pretty unique in how it picks it up through the fidget on the back of the machine here. So far, looking good. We're going to let the turning point occur. And then we're going to start our profiling from there. We'll kick the heat back on and let the beans develop some flavor. And here we go. It's our beans rolling over here. Literally right after the turning point. They're just tumbling away and picking up some heat. As we roast, we take pretty meticulous readings of temperature, both bean temp, which is the roasting temperature, and the air temp as we go. And my partner is pointing out that at 6 minutes, 280, 358. And we'll track all of this as we go. Look for consistency both in manual roasting of the beans, and we also graph it as well electronically so we can compare what happens in real time with the human element as well. I find truthfully that focusing more on the manual entries and trying to repeat your own is usually sufficient. However, it is interesting to see what the computer picks up in being an adjustment temperature. After our second temperature reading at 7 minutes, we're just starting to see that our dry time is just about finished, or has finished, and we're getting a little bit of development color in the beans. And this is when you're really the Maillard stage, where you really start to develop the flavor. It's important to keep tracking it as it goes. This is the first crack occurring here. Snap, crackle, pop. Heard at about 12:15, give or take. We have our 2 roasts in for the day. These are both trials because honestly we've never roasted these before. We had the Ethiopian lemke and the Tanzania peaberry, which Fran believes is very cute because they're tiny. Oddly enough, the Ethiopian roaster was preheated, but perhaps it wasn't heated enough, or just perhaps this is a unique bean because it actually took about 14 minutes 20 seconds to get a profile that looked reasonable with the right color content and bean development. It sounded like it went clearly through first crack, beginning a second crack, and I dropped the beans. Ironically, they look kind of light, which is unusual given the amount of time, but again, different beans, something new, different density in soil. We'll see what the flavor's like in a couple of days. On the other hand, the Tanzania peaberry profiled much similar to our Sumatran and our Costa Rican. So we got a similar time profile of about 13 minutes, 15 seconds out of this, clearly into first crack, finishing up first crack nicely, and really even, really nice bean development and color. Again, it's a little too early to tell what the flavor is going to be like, but when the roaster cool down, we'll give these about 48 to 72 hours to degas, and then we'll be sampling. So, again, appreciate your time. If you're interested in watching along, we'll sample these in the future, and you're more than welcome to try. Thanks for watching.